The DEA is proposing reclassifying marijuana from a Schedule 1 narcotic to Schedule 3. Schedule 1 narcotics include heroin, cocaine, and ecstasy, while Schedule 3 narcotics include the likes of ketamine, steroids, and testosterone. 38 states already have medical marijuana laws on the books, and 24 have legalized recreational use. So this could be a potential major shift in federal policy that could then have an impact on the overall cannabis industry. And we've certainly been seeing that off of this news when it comes to cannabis stocks. So for more on this, we have Matt Darin, Curaleaf's CEO. Matt, thank you so much for being here with us to talk about this news. Obviously, this is far from finalized, and it does not mean that marijuana is federally legalized. But talk to me about the likelihood of this having an impact. I know you were on with us 7 months ago when the Department of Health and Human Services recommended this. This feels like a story that's been going on and on and on and on. How likely is this to actually become a reality?
So it has been quite a journey, and thanks for having me back on. It's been quite the process that the government's been going through, starting with the HHS recommendation 7 months ago, as you mentioned, and now culminating with the DEA's recommendation to follow through on the Schedule 3 recommendation. So it is really a historic moment, I would say, for the industry. It's a long time coming, but I think the findings are really backed in science and backed on the very detailed review that the government did to evaluate the medicinal benefits of cannabis, and that it truly does belong as a Schedule 3 substance versus Schedule 1, on par with things like heroin and fentanyl, which all Americans have known for quite some time just was not right.
Yeah, Matt, when we talk about the business implications, exactly what it means here potentially to your bottom line, we're talking about some additional adjustments here, removing some taxes. So clearly that would benefit you and your rivals here, at least over the longer term. My question to you is, does this make it easier, do you think, for lawmakers then to be on board and pass safer banking? Because that's a critical issue here.
So any step forward here, I think, certainly helps in the normalization of cannabis and demonstrates to legislators that there is widespread support for it. So while this is certainly a different process, the rescheduling versus safer banking and other legislative actions, I think it absolutely sends a signal to those in DC that there is widespread support for this, that the federal government acknowledges that there is medicinal benefit to cannabis, and that ultimately this belongs regulated similar to other industries. And so I think it certainly will help from that degree, but it's a separate process, and working through Congress has its own complexities.
Is it going to bring on institutional investment, just removing that layer? Talk about the classification.
We do expect that. I think, the removal of 280E, this punitive tax rate that has cannabis companies paying up to an 80% effective tax rate. No other industry in America is subject to this type of punitive tax rate. As an example, for Curaleaf alone, we're paying in excess of $150 million of 280E taxes, to the federal government. So freeing up that cash flow to be able to reinvest in expansion, in personnel, in new business development, I think is getting the attention of institutional investors, and is going to continue to attract interest. And I think some of the plumbing that has really held back institutional investors from being able to participate in the market due to custody and listing exchanges, this is another incremental step, I think, to get institutions more comfortable with now investing in cannabis.
Matt, I have 2 quick points from our audience of retail investors on the Yahoo Finance platform that have commented with some questions for Curaleaf specifically. One of them wondering whether or not your guidance for financials is going to change off of this news. Do you have an update on that?
So we have an earnings call next week, and we'll be speaking to all of the exciting new developments here. So I'm not going to speak to that today, but we have an earnings call next Thursday. We'll be speaking to it. All
right. Well, hopefully we're going to be able to have a chance to follow on that with you. But also, I wonder whether or not there's any potential of a merger in your future. A lot of comments on whether or not Tilray and Curaleaf would have a potential for future relationship. I know you won't talk about that specifically and break that news with us, but any thoughts on a merger in your future?
So like we've been really focused on our core business and continuing to invest both in the U.S. and internationally, as has been reported. We continue to really focus on the international business, with expansion into a number of different markets throughout Europe. So I think we will continue to be opportunistic as we look at expansion opportunities, and I do think the rescheduling will open up the markets, and you will see in general more M&A activity begin to pick up, which has really been quiet the last period of time due to challenges in the capital market. So overall, I would expect to see more activity coming up, and we're certainly always evaluating opportunities to increase shareholder value and to continue to grow the business.
All right, Matt Darin, we have to leave the conversation there. We look forward to hopefully having you back on Yahoo Finance again soon. CEO of Curaleaf. Thanks so much, Matt.
Thank you.